What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Sales Remastered. My name is Daniel. I'm your host. And in this episode, we're going to talk about the game of sales, and how it's evolved and how it's developed to what it is now. Much like an old school video game. If you know what Atari is, or if you remember the original, Nintendo, and then you saw it evolve, right? To like from Nintendo to Super Nintendo, and then from Super to Nintendo to Nintendo 64. You know, some of you kids are so young, you probably don't even remember these systems, but they existed, right? And I'm going to use that as an analogy because we have a choice still today to play those old school games. And what you'll find is typically it's the crowd who appreciated those old school games that will like them. And that's why even to this day, right, like they will sell games that still come out with the with the box graphics, right? Like there's no cutting edge to it, and it's because it's vintage, right? So that's like kind of like the thing. And the reason why I'm going down this topic is because the other day I watched a YouTube video that was from Zig Ziglar. Zig Ziglar, man, this dude's not Zig Ziglar. I'm talking about Brian Tracy. Zig Ziglar, cool too. He's a legend for sure. Much respect to Zig. But where I'm talking about is Brian Tracy. Brian Tracy is a straight veteran at this game. And of course, he's a little older now, and he made this video about marketing, right? Like how to do mass marketing. And I don't know, man. I mean, I got a lot of respect for Brian Tracy because of what he's done in this game. But at the same time, I could not help but think it was like I was asking my great grandpa on the best ways to use Instagram and Facebook, and I couldn't help but think, like, bro, do you have a Facebook account? Do you have, do you use social media? And to give information on that or give content on that, like, you're just writing on your name now. You might have had a team that put that information together, right? And then now you're just, you're announcing it, or he's announcing it because that's his team. Again, no disrespect to Brian Tracy. That man's a legend. But at the same time, if you watched one of his videos right now, he's just on a different frequency. He's on a little older frequency, right? And that may not be compatible with you. I know it wasn't compatible with me. I was more fast. Like, I needed the information right now. There was no, there was no real excitement to it. I didn't really learn anything new. And I'm thankful I got to see that video because I now want to ensure that I never head in that direction. And on top of that, one of the next videos that came, right, because you hit forward and you go on to the next video, like, all right, let me see what the next video got. The next video was Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone was talking about how to get over someone cheating on you. What the fuck? Number one, what's that got to do with sales? And number two, like, why? Did you go through that? Did you go through that just recently? And so I'm thinking, like, man, these, sometimes people just throw out content that are just hot right now. And we have to be aware of this because, sometimes it's non-applicable, but we'll feed into it as if the source has the experience. And at the end of the day, I mean, maybe Grant Cardone, 40 years ago or 30 years ago or however long he's been married, maybe then he was played on, right? But until now, like, are you talking about, like, right now? Like, did you go through that shit? And where you find Grant Cardone talking about things that are relevant to him is when he's talking about, his Cardone Capital. And so, like, he's, obviously he's developing a company that owns like fucking $500 million in real estate. So he's talking about bigger things, right? He's talking about buying like 1,000-unit complexes and shit, which is cool. Let's go and talk about, that game, because I'm sure at some point, like, you probably want to learn about that game. But at the same time, if you're not on that level, if you're not in that bracket, what good is it to you besides motivation? And so at that point, it just becomes noise. It just becomes like, oh wow, this is what goes on behind closed doors with fucking ballers. And it's good because it puts you in that realm, and you always hear that saying of you gotta raise the level of your network. And so technically that's kind of your way of doing it. But at the same time, how are you going to apply that information today, right? Not only that, but how are you going to apply information that you're not really sure about the credibility of the source giving you the information? And so I guess my punchline here, my message is that This is a game, and the game has evolved. Although the game, the objective of the game has stayed the same, much like the video games now, it's still the same, right? You got to get through levels, you got to beat the game, you got to get to that boss of that level, and then graduate to the next level. So the context of the game is still the same, but now it's just evolved. Now it's just, there's more options, there's more buttons, there's more movement, there's more capabilities and actions that you could take now versus what you were able to do just 20 years ago, right? Just 15 years ago. And why that's important is because if you're taking content, or you're receiving content from someone who hasn't played the fucking game since Nintendo or Super Nintendo, how are they gonna put you on game for your PS4, right? Or for your new console? And I'm referring to that as a video game because I need you to understand. I think everyone here who's watched this understands what a video game is, and from memory can realize the changes that has happened with the game. Well, the game of sales is similar, right? Like we get multiple lives, we get multiple chances, and much like a video game, sales has its own cheat codes, it has its own hack codes, right? It has its own little shortcuts and intricacies and nuances that are just repetitive. And so if you play the game long enough, you become masterful, you become craftful, you already know what is to come. But see, the issue is if all I did was play Super Mario on old school Nintendo, right? And that's all I was doing. I was listening. I was trying to fine tune the game of Nintendo, and I'm listening to content as old as Nintendo. And then I go apply it with competitors who are already on the next console, who are already on sales remastered, who's already on the remake, the remix, the remastered version of the game. I'm at a disadvantage, right? But why? If I'm at a disadvantage, I'm listening to people, like Brian Tracy, like Grant Cardone, right? And by the way, they probably both of them, I got mad respect for them. I got mad respect for a lot of the mentors that I've had and people that I've learned from along the way. But at the end of the day, they're probably going to hate me. They're going to hate me because they sell the content that I give away for free for thousands of dollars. And they'll charge, people to coach them and sell them into their mastermind groups. And these people pay a lot of money for the shit that I share for free, right? And it's because I know that if I can help you in getting over a challenge that you experience, and I give you a new way of looking at it, it's like I got you a new game, right? I got you the newest game. And I want you to think back, whether you like video games or not, when you got something new and you just couldn't wait to try it out the next day, right? Like, for example, I want you to think about, that first day of school, right? When you went to elementary school and the day before your first day of school, and you had your new clothes all laid out, you had your new shoes, your new bag, your new folder and shit, your new OPG, those paper folders. Anyway, you got your new tools, and so you're excited, right? You're pumped, like you're going to the next day with just this swagger, this excitement to wear your new gear, right? Or play your new game. And it was all new. It was all new experience, and it was a rejuvenation of the hustle, right? It was a rejuvenation. All you're doing is wearing clothes, but for some reason it had more value because it was your first day of school and it was brand new, right? And so I want you to kind of think about that, because that's the lessons that I share with you here on this channel. It's just new tools. It's brand new. It's technically the same ideology, but it's just a brand new technique. And so I think that I'm able to inspire others to reapproach their game in a completely different way. Now, those that win are those that have the open mind, are those that have the tenacity, the patience, and the endurance to continue trying. Those that fail are gonna be the ones that try it once or twice, or maybe on a couple calls, and they keep automatically wanting to revert back to their old ways. And so it's just easier to say, this doesn't work, right? And then give up, and then keep heading down that path. Well, the problem is that, again, if you stay stuck on that Nintendo console while everyone else is already up to par on the newest technology, the newest strategies, the newest way, you gotta imagine, like, they got a handicap against you, bruh. They got, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, like, really? So you got to put yourself on that field where you have the advantage. And I believe that you'll have the advantage if you understand that this is just a game. And the game is going to continue to evolve. And you got to stick close to channels or brands or Sales Remastered that keeps you up to speed with the technology, keeps you up to speed with the techniques. It gives you current, relevant information from a practitioner. Like, when's the last time you think Brian Tracy sold something? When's the last time you think he was on the phone trying to make a sale? When's the last time you think Grant Cardone was on the phone trying to make a sale before they had their recognition, before they had their popularity in their brand, right? Like, it's like Eminem. Like, when you remember Eminem, his first couple albums were fire, and it was because he was still hungry. He wasn't known yet. That was the best content that I believe came from him, was when he wasn't as big as he was, and then he got bigger, and then just like, whoa, kind of, sweared off. And so my goal is to never get to that point. My goal is to ensure I'm always delivering constant, relevant information that's going to help you skyrocket past your competition, help you get to the top of your chart, and make sure that you get what you deserve for the time that you put in and the sacrifices that you've made. And so I'm gonna see whether or not you use it, because you're gonna be hitting me up, you're gonna be leaving me notes, you're gonna share my content, much like those that already do, that share with me the difference it's made for them, the increase in morale, confidence, sales, income, in just a completely different light. Now they look at the game in a completely different way. It's like they were playing Super Mario this entire time, and I just gave them a copy of, I don't know, just the newest PS4 game, whatever, right? Like, it's just something brand new, completely evolved, and it's just remastered. I'll see you on the next video. Bye.